Hey, Kingdom Scribes. So I know a lot of you probably have been hearing people talk about building and creating and elevating your author's brand. And you may be wondering, like, what are they talking about? Well, I'm glad you're here because we're going to talk about elevating your author's brand today. I want to give you clarity on why the author's brand is very important. So go ahead and get everything you need. Get your drink, get your snack, get your favorite journal or notebook. So that way you can come back and join me for an amazing conversation about elevating your author's brand. Welcome back, Kingdom Scribes. Let's get into talking about elevating your author's brand. And for some, you may be wondering, like, what do you mean, author's brand? What does that mean? And I'm glad you asked because I'm going to give you a definition. Your girl loves words, of course. I'm a book publisher. At one point in time, I did like to do all the reading and things, and my writing was just for me personally as a therapeutic exercise that I use. But because God has grown me up and helped me to understand my purpose, which is becoming an author and then helping others to become an author, I have learned to love words in a greater and deeper way to where I can understand how powerful words are when you use them and how powerful words are when you understand them. So let's get into the definition pertaining to what an author brand is. An author brand is the unique identity and image that an author creates to distinguish themselves in the literary world. It's the blend of their voice, values, themes, and personality that becomes recognizable to readers and helps define what they can expect from that author's work. An effective author brand communicates not just the content of the author's books, but also their personal story, their expertise, and the experience they want to offer readers. So, was that clear for you? If you have any questions, write it down. Write those questions down. If you want to go deeper, write it down. So that way you can do some research. That's your homework. So you can do more research on an author's brand. So let's get into it. Let's first talk about define your voice. I always will tell you to never show up as anybody but you. And you say, well, Tiffany, I'm always going to show up as me. We intend to until we get into a place and space that feels intimidating, and then we start shrinking back, and then we start trying to just piece together somebody that we think is more confident than us, more well put together than us, and then we start showing up like them. And then we cheat our audience out of getting to know the real person because we're too busy trying to be like everybody else. Or when we're showing up sounding like other people when we need to just sound like ourselves. And that's one thing that I can say that I'm learning, because when it comes to the podcast, I watch a lot of podcasts and I see how people do their podcast, the production, their guests, even how they speak to their audience. And I'm not a person that, does a lot of speaking. And so when it came to a podcast, I was like, I'm not well spoken, so I don't need to be doing this. It's different when me talking to my clients and being on the world stage that God has placed me on to do these podcast episodes for you. But one thing that God told me to do is to show up as my authentic self. So I have to show up as me, because you're not attached to anybody else's sound if you are a Kingdom Scribe and God has led you to New Voice Books. You are listening for my sound, And so sometimes, it may be a stumbling of a word, but I am learning with each episode how to become better at speaking and articulating my message to you, so that way you can understand what I'm here to do. You can resonate with my sound, and you can understand the message that God has placed in my heart to give to you. So if I try to show up like the people that I am listening to and watching on YouTube, with their podcasts, then when God is saying, I need you to go and connect with New Voice Books, I need you to go and find Tiffany Dillard, I need you to go and listen to the Author's Corner podcast, then you're like, well, I'm there, but she doesn't sound like what you had me to hear. Like, it sounds completely different than what I may have heard before. So we are drawn and called to a sound. And so that is why it is very important to define your voice as an author. Your writing style, themes, tone should be consistent across your work. Your writing style, themes, and tone all define your voice. Because I know as a writer, you're like, well, how am I defining my voice? I'm just writing a book. I'm going to say it one more time. Your writing style, your themes, and your tone should be consistent across your work. And your tone is how you flow within your book. When you read my books, I am a writer that writes a story within a conversation. So me and you are having a conversation in my book. There are some writers that are storytellers. And this is not just for fiction writers. You have nonfiction writers that are storytellers. So they give you the full picture. They tell you what they had on, where they were, what the sky looked like, what was going on around them, who was around them. They give you the full picture before they bring you into what they are talking about, what they want you to know. And then you have those writers that are teachers. So when you're reading their book, you feel like you're in a classroom and you are literally taking notes from your teacher because their tone is teaching you and being an educator in their book. And so, and then you can even just think about like, just read your manuscript. Don't read it as the author. Read it, put your mind as the reader. And then write down what you hear. Like, what tone do you hear when you're reading your manuscript? If you have some other authors in their books, take their books and read them. Go back through probably like chapter 1 or something or 2, and then just read their books to see what tone are they writing in. What is their style? Read through the book to define their voice. What is their voice? Like if someone asks you, what is this author's voice? Then write that down. That's why I say keep your journal, keep your favorite notebook, write that down so that way you can understand what it means when I say define your voice when it comes to your tone and your writing style. Because everybody's writing style and tone and themes are different. Your voice sets you apart and builds your identity in your reader's mind. Because you got to think about it before they even probably hear your voice through like live events or interviews or on your website or on social media, they are hearing your voice through your book. So once you do have a live event, because we're going to have live events, let me just stop right here. We are going to have live events. Okay. We're going to have live events. New Voice Books is going to create a space to where all of you Kingdom Scribes, we're going to come together and we're going to have live events. We're going to have conferences. I am decreeing and declaring that right now. We are going to have conferences. We're going to have live events. We're going to have live Q&A sessions. The podcast is going to be live. Now, this is boldness coming out of me because part of my mind is saying, girl, why are you saying this? What you doing? But the other part of me is saying, speak it out. So I'm going to speak it out. We are going to do live events, live interviews, whether it be on TV, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on the radio, whether it be on a national national platform, we're going to do live events, and then we're going to create live events that we can come to each other's events. Okay, New Voice Books is going to do a live event of the Authors Corner podcast with Tiffany Dillard live. Okay, the Authors Corner podcast with Tiffany Dillard is going to be live. All right, when details come out, y'all be the first to know. All right, so make sure that you're not trying to sound like someone else. When we do these live events, how is the person that purchased your book going to know that it's you? Because your sound is not going to change from your book, from your actual speaking voice. It's not going to change. Your personality is not going to change. It shouldn't change if you're showing up as you are. So this means that imposter syndrome, you're going to have to allow God to heal you in that place. You're going to have to allow God to do what he needs to do within you, so that way you're not walking around here trying to imitate anybody else other than yourself. Don't cheat yourself, because you're telling your story. And as we have learned in previous episodes, your story needs to be relatable to your audience. Your story needs to resonate with your audience. And if you're showing up trying to be like somebody else, then how does your story resonate with your audience? Like, how is it real if you're not showing up as your authentic self? Because that's going to make people think, like, are you telling somebody else's story, or are you telling your own when you're showing up as someone else? When you're speaking like someone else? Like, who is the author of this book? You, or is it someone else? Now, yeah, you have some books that have characters. And, when it comes to fiction writing, they have characters. So people will resonate with an author through the characters, because they will relate to the characters. But that personality of that author is still all intertwined in that book. They can still hear the voice of an author through each character in that book. So defining your voice is very, very important. And if you need help with this, what do I always say? Ask God for help. Do not do this on your own. Do not try to do this book publishing process by yourself. And don't try to do anything in your life by yourself. Let me go ahead and put that out there again. Do not try to do anything by yourself. Always ask God, okay? So I'm going to go to my next point, and it says, know your audience. You're going to continue to hear me talking to you about knowing your audience. That is going to be something that is going to become redundant. Okay, I'm just letting you know now, because you're going to be like, Tiffany, you said that in episode 1. You said it in episode 2. I probably said it in episode 3, but you're going to continue to hear it, because you need to know your audience, Kingdom Scribes. You cannot be out here just thinking that you're talking to everybody, because you're not. You're not talking to everybody. All these podcast platforms that are out here, all of these people that have created podcasts, they are not speaking to everybody. They're not. And you're not going to speak to everybody as well. That would be amazing to speak to everybody, but you're not. So you need to know your audience. Understanding who your readers are helps you tailor your brand to meet their interests and needs. Engage with your audience to develop loyalty. You can't develop loyalty if you don't show up as your authentic self. You can't develop loyalty if you're out here trying to be the favorite author for everybody, instead of those that have been assigned to you, instead of those that are part of your audience. You have to know the people that you are talking to. Get to know them. What do they look like? What do they sound like? What are their interests? What are their needs? And you may say, well, Tiffany, how do I find that out? Do a survey. Do a survey. Businesses need feedback. And your book is a business. Again, your book is a business. So businesses need feedback. And in order for you to get in order for you to get feedback, you have to do a survey. So put up a poll on your social media platforms. If you have a website, send an email to your email subscribers and do a poll. This is where you can use your family and friends you can survey them and have them, ask them questions and have them give you feedback. You don't have to sit here and wonder who your audience is. You can test the waters so that you can know what your audience looks like, who they are, what they sound like. And like I said, what are their interests? What are their needs? What will help you to connect with them? What will help you to be relatable to them? Now, I'm not saying that you coming out here being a performer, because that's not what we're doing. I'm not saying that you out here being a people pleaser, because we're not doing that either. And if you're dealing with those two, then go back to God, because you need healing. Because you don't need to come out here trying to get in front of people and be out here jumping in hoops because you're dealing with a womb. Get your womb healed first, okay? But know your audience and do your research to find out who your audience is. Because again, your book is a business and you want people to get your book in hand that are going to read it, they're going to support it, and they're going to share it. And they're going to say, you know what? I was reading this book and I was thinking about you. So when I'm finished with it, I'll let you read it. Or go to such and such and such and buy this book because you need it. And yes, I said share, because some people may not have the finances to be able to buy your book, but somebody else can let them, read their own book to understand your message. And that can cause them to come around to maybe show up at a live event. You never know. But you have to know who your people are. And again, everybody is not your people. Everybody is not a part of your audience. Everybody is not going to pick up your book. Everybody's not going to come to your live events. Those that are connected to your sound and that are a part of your audience will show up and support you in more ways than one. All right. So we talked about defining your voice, knowing your audience. And then next, we're going to talk about craft a strong visual identity. So your book covers, websites, social media profiles should have a cohesive, recognizable look. A well-designed logo or color scheme can help reinforce your brand. These are things that you're going to have to invest in, Kingdom Scribe. You're not going to be able to just come out here and just doing the most. You're going to have to be very strategic on when it comes to your author's brand. You're going to have to be very strategic when it comes to your book cover and your website and your social media profile. And the social media profile means that you can create an author's page. So separate from your personal page, you can create an author's page on Facebook. And you can create one on Instagram or any other platform. Yeah, you can create it on any other platform. So you have your personal page and you have your author's page. Your author's page is tailored directly to your book. So if you're doing a Q&A, that's where they get the information from. If you're doing a live event or an interview with someone, that's where they would get the information from. If you want to do a live yourself and do a reading from your book, anything pertaining to your book will be on your author's page. So that means that your color scheme will be connected on your author's brand. Now you can promote it on your personal page, and so that way you can get the traffic to go to your author's page. When I had mine, I did not share a lot of things about my book on my personal page. I may have shared it if it was like a highlight moment, and I would share it on my personal page as to celebrate a personal accomplishment. But I will still lead my audience and my readers to my author's page, because I wanted them to get to know Tiffany as the author. Some people knew me personally, but I wanted them to know me professionally as an author. And so I did. I have a logo. If you go to my Facebook page now, I had to revamp my page, y'all, because Facebook shut all of my stuff down. Like, shut it all down. Said that I was not in compliance with the community guidelines. I don't know how I wasn't, because all I talked about was God. I mean, maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But they took my stuff down. But when you do go to my personal page, you're still going to see my brand. You're still going to see my logo there. You're still going to see me show up as an author there. So that is what I'm talking about, social media profiles. It's creating an author's page specifically for you as an author, so that way you can show up for your readers on that page. And you can even help them to join in, to make it, not saying you have to make it private, but you can kind of join them in to coming into that space on your author's page as an exclusive place for your community to join, to where y'all can talk and chat. If they have questions pertaining to the book, that's where they will go and have that conversation with you specifically. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to go on your personal page, because we nosy and we want to see what's going on in your life and who your peoples are, and where you be traveling at, where you be eating at, where you be getting your clothes from. We nosy like that. But keep them, when it comes to your book, keep them over on your author's page, okay? And then when it says a well-designed logo, please invest in a logo, people. Do not sit out here and get these cartoon logos. Or, if you're good on Canva, Canva has amazing templates that you can use to create an logo with. But if you're not that crafty, if you are not good with just putting together graphics, then take the time to invest in a logo. I would refer you to Halo Creative Services with Jerry and Alicia. She's amazing. Everything that pertains to New Voice Books, our logos, my book cover, all of that is done by Halo Creative Services. She is actually who I have a contract with when it comes to book publishing services. So if you do choose New Voice Books to be your book publisher, that is who we work with when it comes to your book cover. And she's amazing. So please invest in a logo. And then choose a color scheme that you love. Don't try to just put any colors together. No, choose a color scheme and choose it on purpose. Be intentional about your color scheme. We're building a brand, people. Don't just be doing stuff just to be doing it. We are building a brand. Your brand will be just as strong as McDonald's, Walmart, Target, Dillard's, Louis Vuitton. We're talking about that boldness and brand. Some of y'all know Louis Vuitton bags so tough and so well that you can look at a bag and determine whether or not it's fake or real. That's how consistent and strong and bold and powerful your brand should be. That if somebody else tried to copy your book, your readers should be able to be like, this is not Tiffany. This is not Michael. No, this is no. This is not their work. They did not write this book at all. Because you know their sound. You have gotten to know them as being a part of their audience. And then their identity has been very strong in front of you. Their visual identity has been very strong in front of you. So you as the reader, you're like, this is not them. And that's the same thing that they're going to say about you. And I say they're going to say about you. Because I know sometimes as we write, we get discouraged. And we feel like, who's gonna buy my book? Who's gonna resonate with my story? Who's gonna relate to my story? Who's gonna connect with me? But if God told you to write the book, write it. Because somebody is waiting for your book. Somebody is waiting for the blueprint. Somebody is waiting for the map. Somebody is waiting for the instructions. Somebody is waiting for somebody to tell them that they're not the only one that went through that. That they're not in this by themselves. They're not the only person who has suffered through this situation, has dealt with these type of people, has experienced this type of pain in their lives, have maybe failed in something, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to recover. And you recover from the very thing that they failed in. And so now it's like, hey, it's hope for me on the other side of this. That is what your message, your sound, your identity is going to help draw your people in. Because again, your book is a business. And so now we're about to get to, hey, Kingdom Scribe, don't just sit there and hold your manuscript because you don't know what to do next. You don't have to stay stuck in trying to figure out all the things when it comes to book publishing, because it can be a lot. New Voice Books is here to help you. We have a Kingdom Scribe mentorship program. It is an online program, self-paced program that will teach you all the things pertaining to book publishing and step-by-step instructions on what you need to do next. You'll have homework so that way you can test your knowledge to make sure that you understand the information that is taught through the program. So if you want to learn more about the Kingdom Scribe Mentorship Program, go to nvpublishingco.com. Again, the website is nvpublishingco.com today to learn more about the Kingdom Scribe Mentorship Program so that you can go from start to finish with your book project. Be blessed. What the writing tip of the day? You as an author are very valuable and powerful, and people deserve to get to know you. You deserve to shine like a bright light in this world. And creating and building your brand will help you to do that. Making sure that you have that strong visual identity in the earth. But in order for you to have that strong visual identity in the earth, you have to know who you are. You have to know who you are. What makes you you? Who are you? Why do you do and say the things that you do? You have to know who you are. And the best person that can help you to learn who you are is God. So we're not going to show up in the identity of who our mama says we are, who our daddy says we are, who our grandmama says we are, who people we've been in relationships has said we are, our siblings, whomever has been in our lives. We're not going to show up in those identities because those people are only telling you who you are based off how they experienced you. Experiencing you and knowing you is two different things. God knows you because he formed you. He told Jeremiah in Jeremiah 1:5 that he knew him before he even entered into his mother's womb. He formed him and knew him. He knew everything about him. He even ordained him to be a prophet to the nations in his mother's womb. So his mother, when he was born, his mother became a person to experience him. She didn't know him. All she knew about him is what she experienced. But God knew everything about him, what he could do, how he can do it, why he needed to do it, who he was, what he brings to the table, the boldness that is in his mouth, the vessel that he could be for the glory of God. He knew Jeremiah's full identity, and he knows your identity. So if you want to be able to stand strong and bold and confident in your author's brand and tell the world through a logo, through a website, through your book, who you are, then you have to know who you are and let God help you understand and learn who you are. And if there is something that you have to shed off, those false identities that you have been carrying for so long that are not who you are, and God starts to highlight those things to you, let that stuff go. I'm not telling you to do something that I have not done myself and that I'm continuing to do. Because I want to come on this podcast and I want to give you Tiffany. I'm not trying to give you nobody else. I'm trying to give you me. I want you to get to know me. I want you to connect with me. And you can't do that if I come with the mask on. So I've taken the mask down and I'm coming before you as your writing and book publishing coach, the subject matter expert, to tell you that if you want to craft a strong and visual identity, you have to allow God to show you who you are and teach you how to operate in who He has created you to be. Okay? So that is the writing tip of the day. Let's get back into it. So the next point is build an online presence. Create a professional website with a blog and engage on social media platforms where your readers are active. Share insights, updates, and behind the scenes content to build connection. Let people into your world. They're your community, they're your audience, they're your readers. Let them into your world. Now, I'm not saying that you have to put everything out and like tell them all your business. You don't. But you can let them into your world, like doing a reel and just kind of highlighting your writing space, like, hey y'all, this is where I be writing. This is my place and my space to where I can take time to be quiet and just listen to what God is telling me to write and just write. Or like, this is the place where I'm writing my book and I'm being healed at the same time. So there's moments where I'm breaking down and I'm crying, but this is where it all happens. You can let them into everything. Like, you can even like probably write a little bit and just share it with them and say, hey, you know what I'm saying, what y'all think about this? I've been writing this and kind of just going back and forth. What you think about this? And get people's opinions. If you're doing updates, like, hey y'all, I'm halfway through, I'm almost done with my manuscript, and just talk about your process. Talk about, the highs and the lows when it comes to your process, because there may be somebody in your audience that God has told to write as well, and they're just afraid and feeling like, I can't do this. This is too much. They may be boggled down about, like, I don't have the money to do this. You can talk to them about how you navigated through the book publishing process, all the way from starting the manuscript all the way to getting your book published, so that they too can know that it is possible for them to get their book published as well. And like I said, creating a professional website, it is key. Everything about your brand needs to be professional. We are not doing no broke down, halfway done websites, logos. Like, no, invest in this stuff. And I know I hear somebody say, well, Tim, I don't have no money for all that. I just don't have no money for all that. Well, God said that He would supply all of your needs according to His riches and glory. Ain't that Philippians 4:9? Check me on it. But if He said that about providing for us, then if you be a child of God, then He's going to take care of you. So trust Him. Somebody saying, how you know? Okay, because I have a whole book out here that I had to write during the pandemic. And the coins was not in abundance. It wasn't. And this was my first book. I didn't know anything about book publishing. I didn't know where to start, how to start. I was still trying to figure out why I needed to start. But God connected me to people that I had to invest in to help me get to where I am today. I didn't go to school for literature and writing. I went to school for human resources and business administration. I was trying to be the head HR of somebody's company. Okay. I didn't see being a book publisher in my future, but who knows me best? God does. And so here I am. And so by tapping into Him and connecting to Him, I allowed Him to lead me, and He led me to everybody that I needed. He led me to my writing coach. He led me to Jerry Alicia at Hello Creative Services. He led me to resources and tools that I needed to help me get my book published. And now the book is published. The reflection of me finding you and God through the pain is on our website in our online store. And here I am doing a whole podcast episode teaching and educating Kingdom Scribes on how to publish their books and all the things. Now, you think I'm sitting around here with a whole bunch of equipment and stuff? No, I'm utilizing the very things that God has given me to use. So if he tells you to create a website, Kingdom Scribe. If he tells you to put out a blog, Kingdom Scribe. I know you're writing a book, but you can also put out a blog as well too. It's no excuse. He can teach you how to engage on the social media platforms so that way you'll know who your readers are. Remember, we talked about that. Survey your different platforms that you own so you can know who's where and how you need to speak to them, how you need to show up. You know, what type of graphics you need to put out there. Is this audience more about reels? This audience can do a combination of both reels and posts. You want to know where your readers are and how to reach your readers, but you have to be active on social media. You can't be on there today and then nobody hears from you in 6 months and then you just pop up out of nowhere. No, you have to be consistent with your audience, even when you don't have the likes. You still have to be consistent. Remember, we talked about quality over quantity. So you can't just be focused on the numbers and then just lose sight of reaching and resonating with your audience. So share with them. That's content. Like you're like, I don't have content. I don't know what to do. That's content. When you're sharing with your audience, when you're giving them insight, like let them know what you learned about book publishing. You know, you may have learned about what an ISBN number is, what global distribution is. And I'm going to share that with you as well. But you may have learned about that and where to go and how important that is to your book when you're trying to sell it online. And you have a book revelation moment. Share that with your readers. Let them feel like they are publishing this book with you. You see what I'm saying? So when it is done, they are anticipating. They telling people about it. They doing your promotion for you. Let them help you. But you have to share and engage with them. Okay? All right. So we're going to talk about next is consistent messaging. Okay? The way you present yourself in interviews, bios, and promotional materials should align with your brand. And if you want to test the theory, go watch TV and look at the commercials. Every commercial from a different business aligns with their brand. Everything about their message aligns with their brand. Their little jingles align with their brand. You can be in another room and hear just the melody of it and know like, oh, that was a such and such commercial. Because everything is consistent with their messaging. So you want to make sure that everything is consistent, and that includes your text, your font, your sound, your voice. So all that we've talked about up until now, that is all part of helping your message to be consistent. You do not want everything to be everywhere. It cannot be everywhere. You have to make sure that you are consistent in what you are saying, not just in your book, but beyond the book. Because once the book is put out and people are purchasing your book, they're still looking for you. So, like I talked about with Nona Jones, when I was watching podcasts and listening to podcast interviews with her talking about her latest book, The Gift of Rejection, her message through each interview was the same. Even if the questions from the person who was interviewing her were different, she was still giving the same answer and she was still showing up talking about the same thing at each interview. Her message did not change, even if the questions did. Because her message is to help people to understand that rejection is not something to put you in a dark space and keep you there and keep you bound, but rejection is a teaching tool. Yeah, it's a hurtful one, but it's a teaching tool to help you understand who you are and what positioning these people have in your life. It'll let you know the ones that you are attached to, which she talks about in her book, and the ones you are assigned to. And that helped me because we be trying to keep the attached people and then throw away the assigned people. And we got that all wrong. But not allowing rejection to teach us that, we won't know that. And we'll be mad at people that are misplaced in our lives when it's really not on them, it's on us. But her message continued to be the same in order for us to understand that rejection is not a bad thing. Even though the rejection came from a bad situation, overall, it can give us everything that we need to thrive and to grow and to mature in more ways than one. So when you get out there and you start doing interviews pertaining to your book, you want your message to be the same. The same message you're giving in your book is the same message that you give at that interview. The same message that you are sharing about who you are is the same message that you're going to give in your bio and your promotional materials. Everything should be aligned. Be authentic and maintain a tone that reflects your writing. All of it is all tied into you as an author. It is not just, well, I'm over here as an author, then I'll do this. No, everything is connected. Your message, whether you are verbally saying it or it's nonverbal, everything should be connected and sound the same. Your sound should resonate no matter how it's coming forth. It should always resonate. So, leveraging your personal story, share your journey, struggles, and success as a writer. Let them in. Let them in. Introverts, let the people in, okay? Let the people in, introverts. Let the people in, introverts. Let the people in, introverts. Let them in. Readers are drawn to relatable stories, which can humanize you and build deeper connection. You want to have deeper connection with your audience because these people are not here just to show up to purchase your book this one time and then just drop off. No, you want to build relationships and connections with your readers. So whether you are creating something or not, they are there to support you. When we do our live events, they showing up. When you're doing an interview, they are listening in. When you ask for feedback, they're giving you feedback. They're supporting you in all ways. When you're saying like, hey, I'm trying to create a cover and these are the options that I have, which one y'all like? And they're going to give you honest feedback. Why? Because they know you, because your author's brand has been consistent across the board. Now, you know the people that just want to come on there and just, they just like to talk. And they want everybody else to hear them as well. But they really, you know them people. They'll be in the midst. They'll be in the midst. But you will know your true people because you have connection with them. You will know the little stragglongs versus those people that you really have true connection and that are loyal to your brand. And that truly are getting to know you authentically. And they're not just out here just trying to give an opinion because they feel like they got one and everybody needs to hear their opinion because it is so profound. Like, no, you know those people. But if you are consistent in your author's brand, you will also know your true people, your core people that are within your community. And they will give you the correct information that you need to excel because they want to see you succeed because your success is what's helping them. And so they want more of it. So they will begin to pull and draw from you because they want more of what God has placed inside of you. So leverage with your personal story. I talk about my personal story when it comes to domestic violence, and that was a very traumatic experience for me. Going from having an amazing relationship with my father to dealing with a man that just did not love me at all. And then I also had to be accountable because I didn't want to accept the red flags. But my story is just not about domestic violence. It's about me being an overcomer, a conqueror. Me going from not having a voice to having a voice, a strong one at that, that says I'm going to share my story to the world, and I'm going to share it with whomever wants to listen to it, because we do not have to stay in a place where somebody is abusing us. Somebody is not valuing us. We deserve to be loved. And the first person that needs to love us is us. By God teaching us how to love us. And then we will understand what love is because it's in His Word. And we can measure up that love according to His Word. What better way to really decipher if the love that you're receiving is real love than God's Word? And so I don't mind sharing my story. Yes, I have been remarried. I've been married to my beautiful husband for over 17 years. But I still tell that story because there's somebody else that's out there that is dealing with that or has dealt with that. And they're kind of figure out, like, where does life begin? And I am an example that you can start again. I am an example that, as the old people say, one monkey don't stop no show. You know? And it's just a phrase, y'all, which you woke people, it's just a phrase, okay? Goodness. But I have to let people know that so they can get the deliverance and the healing and walk in victory. Because God does not desire us to be in this earth bound. He wants us to be free and free indeed, okay? So share your story so that way you can connect with people. And then be okay with collaborating and networking. Connect with other authors, influencers, and industry professionals to expand your reach and credibility. Guest blogging or collaborative projects can introduce your brand to new audience. Don't be afraid to connect with people. Now, pray and make sure that you're connecting with the right people. Again, we're not doing this on our own. We're not doing this by ourselves, people. We're not. We're not doing this by ourselves. I need you to make sure that when you are partnering with someone, or even if the idea or the opportunity comes, check with God and ask God, do you want me to do this? I'm not telling you got to go in the prayer closet and be praying for 2 hours, asking God if you need to connect with this person. That is not what I'm saying, man. Okay? I'm saying a quick prayer. Okay? Father, this opportunity has come to me. This person has asked me to collaborate with them. Do you want me to do this or not? Yes or no? And get the answer from God and wait on it. Your emotions is not God, okay? Your emotions is not God. So don't be saying, oh, well, he said no. No, you said no because you scared and don't want to go over there and collab with that person because their audience is huge and you don't feel like that you belong over there. No, he didn't say no. Wait and let him answer you. He don't need you to speak for him. He been speaking a long time for himself, okay? So let him answer you. Don't be playing games, y'all, for real. Because we'll answer with our emotions real quick. No, he said no. He ain't said nothing. That was you, your flesh, you, that said no. Don't do that. So be okay with collaborating with other people. But again, ask God first. Because you don't want to be connecting with the wrong people, and then you connecting with them and you kind of get them access to your stuff and they steal your stuff and you like, wait a minute now. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure that you're connecting with the right people, because there are opportunists out here and they can perceive as if they got this big platform and they really don't. And they see the glory of God on you. They see the anointing of God on you and they're like, I need them. and be trying to plot. So that's why we are going to ask God before we collaborate or network with anyone. Okay. And then if they do have a big platform and they allow you to connect with them and God gives you the green light to do it, thank them. Thank them for even choosing you. Thank them for even considering you. Don't get all haughty and prideful. Don't do that. Because you know it's a fall after that. So don't. Be thankful and be humble that God has placed your name in the heart and mind of somebody that didn't know you, that he said, you need somebody to collab with you, call her, call him. Okay. So be okay with that, but check with God first. And then offer value beyond your books, whether through a newsletter, through workshops or speaking engagements. Offering something extra builds authority and keeps your audience engaged between books. Podcast, 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 podcast. You can do that as well. I'm in between books and I am doing some other things as well. But here I am creating a podcast for you, my lovely Kingdom Scribes, so that you can stay engaged with me. So we can stay engaged with each other, so we can get to know each other. Some people may know me, some people don't. But here I am, Tiffany Dillard, your favorite writing and book publishing coach, okay? And you can get to know me and get to know me as your favorite editor of New Voice Books. And so then when I do put something out, which I am, the Marriage Conversation with God is going to be coming out very soon. Be on the lookout for information. Then you're like, oh, let me go over there and get her book. She's been giving all this good information. Let me see if she applied it. Check me out. Okay, I ain't scared. I said I ain't scared. Okay, check me out. That's what we're going to do, authors. We are going to create a powerful brand that is going to help us to shine bright in this world. Be patient, give yourself grace. Again, don't try to think that you done built this wonderful brand, you done put this website out, you done did all the things, you done made sure that everything looks professional and consistent, you have gotten the right colors, everything is popping, boom, bam, it is together, and you got one person following you. Do not be like, this ain't worth it. No, our purpose is not about the crowd. Our purpose is to be effective in the earth, because our words will change worlds. And we want to make sure that our words are resonating and our sound is going forth in the earth to the right community. Okay, so don't sit here and be trying to build up your platform and be so consumed with that. Allow God to make your name great. He told Abraham that he would make his name great, right? We're still talking about Abraham today, right? Oh, I thought we was. Oh, okay, yeah. So if he's going to make your name great, let him do it. Okay, let him do it. So as always, I want you to continue to write. I want you to continue to trust God in your writing process and your book publishing journey. I want you to stay partnered with God. And if, as always, if you need assistance, then you know New Voice Books is here for you. You can book a discovery call with me and we can talk about your book project. I am doing one-on-one coaching, so you can book a 1-hour session with me and we can talk about your book project as well. I told you earlier pertaining to the Kingdom Scribe Mentorship Program. We have tools and resources for you. We are building an education hub to where we're going to be putting up many courses for you to access, so that way you can, if you don't want to get it all at one time, you can kind of get little snippets. We have different topics that are broken down specifically to that topic, like the topic today, Author's Brand, where you can learn more. You can learn more about all the things you need to know with book publishing. Do not sit this out, Kingdom Scribe. Do what God has called you to do. You have purpose, and your words will change the world. We are going to leave legacies of literature in the earth. You can do this. You will be able to build your brand that will help you to be distinguished in this literary world. You're not going to be like everybody else. And that's a good thing, because your readers are looking for you. All right. I love you. Be blessed.